Okay, I don't, Jarida, are we ready to go live on WHCI or?
We are ready to go live on your queue. I believe Jen is listening in. So if you want to start the meeting, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you so much. So I'm sorry?
I just said you're welcome.
All right, I am calling the 5:15 public hearing to order. Good evening. It's really good afternoon. I am Mayor Sherry Cantor, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's virtual public hearing, an ordinance concerning traffic obstructions in certain intersections. Because in-person attendance at public hearings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19, this hearing is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7B. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Blanks is absent. Ms. Cantor?
Here.
Mr. Davidoff?
Here.
Ms. Fay?
Here.
Mr. Gold?
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney? Mr. Sweeney?
He was calling in, so I don't know if he needs to be unmuted. You know how the
Okay.
call is. So I don't know.
Mr. Winograd?
Here.
And Mr. Williams?
Here.
Thank you.
I believe Mr. Sweeney just joined the call.
Yes.
Okay.
Here, Essie.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have a quorum. Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is Mayor Cantor again. Because of the virtual format of the hearings, there are some special rules and procedures that I would like to cover before we begin. We will begin with a presentation by town staff and then receive comments from the public. Please note that phone access is only intended for members of the public who wish to participate and provide comments. If you're on the phone right now and do not plan to speak, please hang up and watch live on television on WHCI, which is West Hartford Community Interactive Comcast Channel 5, or Frontier Channel 6098, or streaming on www.whctv.org. Again, if you do not plan to comment, please hang up your phone and instead listen to the hearing on TV or on the internet. Thank you very much. For the members of the public who are still on the phone, please do not mute your device. The meeting moderator will keep everyone's line muted until it is your turn to speak. If you mute your own line, the moderator will not hear your voice, and we will go to the next caller for comment. All speakers shall be confined to 3 minutes each, except that persons providing the council representing a duly authorized group on an issue may speak for up to 5 minutes. The moderator will play a bell or chime when you have 30 seconds left so you can wrap up. Out of respect for everyone who wishes to speak, time limits will be strictly enforced. The sole purpose of this hearing is to receive comments from the public. There will be no back and forth between members of the council and the public. Council members will have the opportunity to discuss and debate the budget, this subject matter, whatever it is, and all comments must be germane to the ordinance. I ask everyone to be respectful, and we will, if I need to move on, we will. So with that, we will start with the town presentation from town staff. Thank you. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Hart, Town Manager. Good evening, everyone. At this point, through you, Mayor, I'd like to turn to our Town Engineer, Dwayne Martin, to make a brief presentation regarding our proposal.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Town Council, Dwayne Martin, Town Engineer, to address the item on the agenda, which is an ordinance modification. So you may recall not that long ago, approximately a year ago, I believe, I presented an ordinance concerning traffic obstructions in certain intersections, more commonly known, at least by my office, as do not block the box ordinance. And so the reason that this was created is for safety benefit in essence. But the state by statute requires municipalities to have ordinances in place addressing specific locations where you have these do not block the box applications. So previously we had an ordinance which was approved and put in place. I believe there was about 4 locations that were listed. It came about that one of the locations, specifically Farmington Ave at the driveway to the Bank of America, which is 4 North Main Street exit driveway, actually did not fit within the confines of the statute. The statute does allow driveways, which can be considered intersections, as part of the ordinance or the statute. However, those driveways need to facilitate access to emergency response. So, for example, the Raymond Road driveway to the police and fire exit is perfectly fine within the statute, or a driveway to a state facility. Similarly, we have one down on New Park Ave for the CT Fast Track driveway. So in addition to removing the driveway from the ordinance for the Bank of America exit, we're looking to add a new one. And there was a lot of information put into this item regarding that driveway. So that driveway is located on New Britain Avenue at the intersection with Mayflower and Somerset. And if you're not familiar, there was a drawing showing the existing conditions and 2 options, which we discussed with the State Department of Transportation. We preferred option number 2, which they also preferred. There was an email attached explaining the back and forth and the state's agreement on that change. The existing arrangement has a left turn lane for Somerset, which starts right at the intersection with Mayflower, which creates some confusion for motorists that are on New Britain Ave that want to turn left on the Mayflower, which is actually a more frequent maneuver than the left turn onto Somerset. And so we're proposing a change there with the do not block the box. So specifically, the left turn lane will be changed, facilitating left turns on New Britain Ave for Mayflower. And there'll be a painted hatched area with white paint for the do not block the box so people don't block Somerset, allowing people to turn left using that left turn lane from New Britain Ave. And so the idea is just to improve traffic flow and safety in the intersection. If somebody was on New Britain Ave and they still wanted to turn left on the Somerset, they could do so. They just would position themselves and wait for a gap in traffic. Hopefully people don't block the intersection and they can maneuver to perform that left. The greater concern was people that were backing up and causing a blockage in the intersection of New Britain Ave and Mayflower for the vehicles and the pedestrians that were involved. So in summary, what you have before you is an ordinance modification, removing one of the intersections, which is the driveway on Farmington Ave for the Bank of America exit, and then adding a new intersection, New Britain Ave at Somerset, to the ordinance. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I appreciate your presentation. Mr. Hart, anything further from you? Otherwise, we'll go from any questions from the council.
Matt Hart, Town Manager, nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Are there any questions from the council, or and I can go quickly through my list here. They're not in alphabetical order. Oh, Ms. Blanks is on. Ms. Blanks. Sorry, I forgot, lost my pen. Ms. Blanks, would you like to actually be recognized as being here? Can you want to just tell the town clerk that you are present, so it's for the record?
Councilor Blanks, present for the record.
Excellent, thank you. You got it, Ms. LeBreau?
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Good to see you. All right, are there any questions? I'm looking through my visuals. I'm not going to go name by name. I'm also looking at my text, so if I don't see you, please let me know. I don't see any questions. Although I'm in the wrong. All right. With that, and we will go to public comment. Moderator, would you like to see if there's anybody that has called in to public comment on this public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the moment, we have one person who's called in, person whose phone number begins with 860874. You may comment now. It looks like there's no one for public comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay. We will, if there is no further comment from anybody, I'm again scanning my screen, looking for any questions from the council, from presentation, no public comments, we will close the public hearing. So this public hearing is now closed. We need to wait 3 minutes to open the next public hearing. So we will be back in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay. It is now 5:30. All counselors, I think, are present, but we will have to go through the roll call again. So I am calling the 5:30 public hearing. This is a public hearing application on behalf of JJJ New Britain Avenue Associates, LLC, owner of 12 Grove Street, requesting a change of the underlying zone for 12 Grove Street from R6, one family resident district, to RP resident parking district. 5:30. Roll call, Ms. LeBreau.
Ms. Blanks,
Present.
Ms. Cantor.
Here.
Mr. Davidoff. Mr. Davidoff. Ms. Fay.
Present.
Mr. Gold.
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Here.
Mr. Winograd.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. We have received notice that the application, this application has been withdrawn, and the Corporation Counsel will be providing additional legal context during the council meeting. So there will be no public comment, and the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much. We will be starting the town council meeting at 6:30. Please dial into this same number. Thank you. See you in a minute.
Madam Mayor, I just want to let you know I was here.
Yes.
Thanks.
Ms. Lebrun.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
if
yes.
anyone is having, I just would like to say, if anyone is having trouble re-entering the meeting, they should click on the link that I sent a few minutes before the meeting started.
Thank you. Otherwise, you can just shut your video and mute your device as well as an option and stay dialed in.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
Winograd, sorry. I noticed that we do have some callers, some of whom probably came in just as you were announcing the reason that there won't be a hearing. Maybe you can repeat that. And
Okay.
can we keep the line open, the meeting open for a few minutes as people come in?
Yes,
Otherwise we'll have-
I was going to ask for staff at least to make sure that that message is relayed to every caller, that the applicant withdrew the application. More context will be presented by Corporation Counsel during the council meeting. So there will be no comment because the application was withdrawn. And we're closing the public hearing. We will not be receiving public comment as the application is withdrawn. So if there is somebody on staff that can field those calls, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, it's 6:30, and I'm looking through. It looks like everybody is joined back. So I want to welcome everybody to our 6:30 July 14th Town Council meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Sorry, I lost power for a minute. Okay, we will go to roll call, Ms. LeBron.
Ms. Blanks,
Present.
Ms. Cantor,
Here.
Mr. Davidoff,
Here.
Ms. Fay, Ms. Fay, Mr. Gold,
Here.
Ms. Kerrigan,
Here.
Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Mr. Winograd,
Here.
and Mr. Williams.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaRue. I just want to take a moment to reflect on where we are as a country. And there's a lot of people suffering in our country, and I'd like everybody to just take a moment. But we, as of today, there are 3,355,457 cases of COVID that have been identified as positive, and 135,235 deaths related to COVID. And so I just want everybody to take a pause and think about the gravity and the and all that so many people in our country and the world are dealing with right now. Okay. I'd like to go to approval of minutes, town council minutes from 6/23/2020 without objection. I move that we approve these minutes from June 23, 2020. Is there any objection? Seeing none, those are approved. Motion is adopted. Someone has their audio on and is echoing quite a bit. So if you can turn your audio off unless you're speaking, that would be very helpful. Thank you. So without objection, I move to approve the public hearing minutes for application 1126, 1128 New Britain Avenue on 6/23.
Our audio was on.
6/23/2020, hearing no, so I'm just looking for any objection to that motion. All right, hearing or seeing no objection, the motion is adopted. Next is public hearing minutes of 1500 to 1502 New Britain Avenue. Without objection, I approve those public hearing minutes on June 23rd, 2020. Any objection? Hearing and seeing no objection, the motion is adopted. Public forum. As a reminder, during the public forum, any resident or taxpayer of the town who wishes to address the council regarding any item on the agenda, which is not otherwise subject to a public hearing, may call number 40. This is a phone number 408-418-9388. That again is 408-418-9388, extension 132-978-1459. Again, extension 132-978-1459. I don't know if that's up on the screen on WHCI. I hope it is. Individuals have 3 minutes to speak, and the duly authorized representative of any group may have up to 5 minutes to speak. Madam Moderator, do we have any callers on the line?
Madam Mayor, we don't have any callers. There is a Jeff Schulman on the call. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name properly. I'm not sure if he's here for the public portion.
Thank you, Schottenheimer. He is here to listen, I think, to the main part of the council meeting. There are no other callers. We'll wait for 30 seconds just because I did say the number and the extension is quite long. Again, the number is 408-418-9388, extension 132, 978, 1459. Wait 30 seconds. Okay, I don't see any other callers on. Moderator, do you see any new callers on?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, well, we will move to consent calendar. I don't think we have anything that was on consent, and we didn't, we will just go through, it's a fairly short meeting. So, reports from and communications, town manager, Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Hart, Town Manager. I do have a number of items I'd like to report on tonight, and I have uploaded my report in board docs if councilors wish to review it in more detail. First of all, some good news. We have finally received a commitment to fund letter from the state DOT for our much anticipated New Park Avenue Complete Streets Improvement Project. Veteran council members will remember this well. As a reminder, this $3.7 million grant will fund streetscape and other pedestrian and transit-oriented improvements along the New Park Avenue corridor. Next item, I wanted to touch on where we stand with respect to repaving and roadway reconstructions, which is something we're always very busy with every summer in construction season. So we're halfway through our second and our largest round of repaving for this season. And the roads that are included in this round, 2 sections of Boulevard. The first is Farmington Avenue to Mountain Road. The second is Whiting Lane to Prospect Avenue. Also repaving Brookmore Road, Cornerstone Drive, Deepwood Lane, Hyde Road, Peasley Hill, Surrey Way, Tanager Drive, the Upper Loop area of Westmont, and Waterside Lane, including the cul-de-sac at the end of that road. Based on available funding over the next couple of weeks, we'll decide which roadways we'll include in our third and final round for this construction season. With respect to roadway reconstructions, that's more extensive work. As you know, we're actually rebuilding the roadbed itself as well as the curbing. We're actively working on the following roadways. Number 1, Sylvan Avenue. Number 2, Price Boulevard, the section that runs from St. Augustine to Flatbush Avenue. And we plan to start on Ledyard Road sometime over the next couple of weeks. Moving on, next item I wanted to touch on is our North Main Street Bridge project. Our contractor is in the second stage of that project. And under that stage, they will replace and make repairs to the west side of the bridge. They've also replaced the water main, and that's allowed Frontier Communication to replace their fiber optic conduits on that side of the bridge. And they hope to move to the third stage of the project later on this month. Moving on, for an item for leisure services that relates to our agenda later on tonight. Leisure Services and Health Fitness, which is the operator of Cornerstone Aquatic Center, have entered into a partnership under which Health Fitness will manage 2 of our outdoor pools this summer. This is very good news. Fern Ridge and Beechland Park pools. The 2 pools will offer free lap swim, public swim, and water fitness classes. Fern Ridge will be open from July 20th through August 23rd, and Beechland will be open a little bit longer, from July 20th through September 1st. Use of the outdoor pools that will be available to residents and their guests, as well as Cornerstone members. And people wishing to use the pool need to make a reservation. We are widely publicizing this. They need to make their reservation by calling Cornerstone Aquatic Center at 860-561-8271. Again, 860-561-8271. We're only going to accept walk-ups if space permits. And we'll collect the names, addresses, and email information from all users in case we need to do any contact tracing. Moving on to talk about our COVID tax relief programs. Our town was one of the very first communities in the state, if not the first, to adopt both of the new property tax relief programs that were made available by the state in response to the pandemic. The deadline to apply was July 1st for the tax deferment program. As of today, the tax office has received 260 applications for the tax deferment program. 245 of those have been approved and 15 denied. So the vast majority have been approved. The total amount of tax deferred to date is $1.4 million, somewhat less than we had projected. The effect of that tax deferral program, it's really the equivalent of an extended grace period, as Counsel will recall. The due date for the tax bill is still technically July 1st, but instead of the last day to pay being on August 3rd, the last day to pay will be extended to October 1st of this year. With respect to the interest rate reduction program, there's no application for that one. Everyone is automatically eligible. Going back to the tax deferment program for a moment, one item I forgot to highlight. Again, people taking advantage of that program, they must make their payment no later than October 1st, or interest will be charged at the statutory rate of 1.5% per month, retroactive back to July 1. Moving on, some more good news. Outdoor concerts at Blueback Square have resumed with appropriate social distancing, appropriate protections. There are 8 concerts left in July and 6 more in August. And folks can get more information by checking out the calendar on our website. Talking a little bit more about the parks, the fire department has partnered with Leisure Services. I think this is a pretty neat initiative. The fire department will be visiting the parks over the next 3 weeks between 10 and 11 a.m. for the next 3 Thursdays, July 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. And the fire department will provide a socially distant demonstration of their equipment and apparatus. And obviously, due to the COVID-19 restrictions, children will not be able to enter any of the vehicles, but they can view them from a safe distance. Next item concerns the absentee ballot application for the August 11th primary. Registered Democrats and Republicans in town did receive absentee ballot applications from the Secretary of State's office for the August 11th primary. If you've received an application and wish to receive a ballot, you need to complete that application and return it in the self-addressed stamped envelope. If you do not receive an application by July 15th and you still want to get your ballot, please call our voter hotline at 860-561-7458. Again, that is 860-561-7458. Next item, paper shredding, always a popular event. Our Department of Public Works will host a recycling event in the town hall parking lot on Saturday, August 3rd, and that will run from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And West Hartford residents will be able to recycle their electronics, their cardboard, safely shred any documents at no cost. And just want to touch on a couple of items not included in my written report, Mayor. I think I had informed the council that we have a new website. If you have not had an opportunity to check it out in detail, I would ask the council to do so. Please pass on any comments you might have. I'd like to thank Erin Brown in our information technology office for her excellent work on this project over many, many months, working with all of our departments. I think the new site looks fabulous and is a significant improvement over what we had previously. Next item, I had also informed the council late last week that town facilities, we have now moved to phase three of our reopening plan. What does that mean? Under phase 3, up to 50%, a maximum of 50% of staff can be working in the office at any one point in time, any given point in time. They do need to observe certain protocols related to social distancing, mask wearing, etc. For the town hall, we are looking to reopen the town hall to the public on an appointment-only basis in early August. So that's coming up quickly in a couple of months. We'll keep the council posted and provide you with the specific information related to that. And just two more items. The community conversation that Chief Riddick and I have been having around issues related to systemic and institutional racism, particularly as they relate to law enforcement and the town's work to address those issues. We had planned to have another conversation this week. However, there are a number of virtual events happening tomorrow night as well as Thursday night. So the chief and I are looking to reschedule our conversation until next week, and we'll make sure that council gets an invite. And last but not least, getting back to the mayor's points at the start of the meeting, related to COVID-19, the town's current positive case count is we've had 716 residents test positive for COVID-19, and unfortunately, we have lost 129 people to the disease. That completes my report, Mayor. Happy to take any questions council members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. I see Mr. Gold's hand up. Mr. Gold?
Thank you, Mayor Cantor, and through you, Mr. Hart. I do have some questions. You sent an email out to the council concerning an event that happened on Friday. We were just made privy to it, I guess, by email recently, dealing with an anti-Semitic act and event and kind of a Zoom hack, so to speak. I wanted to know, number one, why did we not hear about it until most recently? Number one, what is the town doing, if anything? Has the town escalated this beyond just town investigation? This is a cyber hate crime, and it's got those fingerprints written all over it. There's no place for anti-Semitism in our community, in our society, in our world. It's one of the oldest forms of hate that exists. I just want to know what you, Chief Riddick, are doing about that. We've heard other things that have happened going back to Hall High in 2018. We have a community conversation that should happen, and we need to have these uncomfortable discussions and conversations about all forms of hate, all forms of racism, anti-everything. So I just want to know what, if anything, the town was doing in response to this specifically, and what we can expect.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Mr. Hart?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Gold, for that important question. So I was informed today that our police department is investigating an anti-Semitic complaint that involves a temple Temple Sinai that's located in Newington, one of our neighbors. And as Councilor Gold said, the incident did occur this past Friday. The temple services were being streamed live via Zoom from a West Hartford resident. West Hartford resident was leading the service. So that is why, although the temple itself is located in Newington, that is why West Hartford PD has jurisdiction, because it was being streamed from West Hartford. So what occurred? What occurred is someone entered into that meeting and began posting images of swastikas and making very inappropriate comments as part of the meeting. So in terms of actions that the police department is taking, that I am taking, the police department takes these types of complaints. And unfortunately, we have had as you said, a number of these issues over the years and in recent years, very seriously, and gives them their highest priority. And, you mentioned the community conversation that we're planning to have. This is an item we will touch on. Despite the fact that this occurred, the temple is located in another town, does not mean that West Hartford can ignore it. This is an example of the issues we're facing today and the things we need to address if we ever want to move on from systemic and institutional racism. So again, Councilor Gold became aware of this today and informed the council soon thereafter.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Mr. Gold, anything further?
At this point,
No?
aside from whether or not there was any escalation beyond the local West Hartford authorities into state police or potentially FBI, because we're dealing with cyber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gold. Mr. Hart?
Matt Hart, Town Manager. Good question. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I will get that to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Thank you, Mr. Gold. And this is also something that the regional organizations need to know about, so they direct and can assist their rabbis and all their congregational leaders to take precautions to try to prevent people from getting in. So, great, good point, all good points, and unfortunately, continued discussion. Anything else for Mr. Hart? Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Hart, just briefly, we were originally scheduled to vote and consider the one park tax abatement issue. Just wondering if we anticipate that the applicant, and then we're going to address that issue again in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Hart?
Matt Hart, Town Manager. Thank you for the question, Councilor Williams. We are working on, Corporation Counsel, Community Development staff, and myself on a proposed tax fixing assessment agreement. We're still working on that, not ready to present it this evening. I am optimistic that we will have one that is ready for presentation to the council later this month, and that would necessitate a special meeting in July, depending on our schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Are you all set? That's a wave of, okay. All right. Anything else? I thought I saw Mr. Sweeney's hand up earlier, but I don't know if now I just see his initials, so I don't know. I also want to, while we're doing this, I want to make sure that Ms. LeBreau, our town clerk, has Mary Fay. Mary, can you just acknowledge, it was when we took roll call, I don't think we heard from you. So.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mayor Cancer. Mary Fay, present.
Okay. Anything further for the town manager? All right, with that, we will go to Corporation Counsel. Mr. Dodge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing too significant to report. The governor did expand earlier today the list of states that are affected by the travel advisory and the quarantine. And so we're now up to 22 states that are subject to quarantine for travelers who are coming into Connecticut from those places. And the list is available on the state's website. In addition, the governor actually announced just before your meeting tonight that he would be calling the legislature in for special session next week, I believe, to take up 4 issues, 2 of which are of interest to the town, which would be police accountability, as well as an expansion of absentee voting for the November elections. And again, we anticipate that he'll be issuing that call, I believe he said by Friday. And so it will be a relatively limited special session for July, but could have a significant impact on several town operations. With that, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Are there questions for Corporation Counsel? Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chris Williams. Mr. Dodge is not something that I want to answer to tonight, but I'd love to know your thoughts. So I'm not putting you on the spot, but at some point, I imagine the governor's executive powers are going to come to an end. And just want to know what sort of scenario we would look to for that to happen when we get back to a more normal way of law state level. Just if you could address that sometime.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Dodge, you want to respond or just?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for everybody's clarification, the governor's current executive order, he had self-imposed a expiration date of 6 months from when it was originally issued, so it currently expires on September 9th. The governor, of course, could reissue a new executive order. Either he could terminate the current one and issue a new one before then, or he could issue a new one on September 10th. And I would imagine he would probably renew any number of the executive orders that he's already issued. In terms of, I think that the process and as you said, I'd like to give this some more thought, but the process for sort of unwinding these executive orders is a daunting one. It's a big ball of yarn to unwind. And whether the legislature codifies some of the practices that the governor put in place and makes them permanent, or whether the governor kind of, keeps on issuing executive orders on 6-month authorizations or maybe a shorter time period than that, remains to be seen. I think we'll probably get further clarity on that towards the end of August. I would note that the governor, if he does issue a new executive order, there is a committee of the legislative leaders, as well as the chairs and ranking members of the legislature's public health committee that can effectively veto the issuance of an executive order. So there is a legislative check on that. And fundamentally, it is a statutory power that he exercises. It's a state statute that gives the governor the authority to issue the executive orders and to suspend and temporarily modify state statute. And so the legislature could conceivably change that law that gives him this power. So I think that there's more to come on this, but it's going to be a long process of figuring out sort of how we're going to proceed, because I don't think that the emergency is going to be gone by September.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Williams, anything further?
Oh, thanks for the thorough response. It's pretty good for putting it on the spot. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Williams. Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Well done. Any further questions for Mr. Dodge? All right. I don't see any. So 5C, communication from Kate Miller, 7/6/2020, resigning from the West Hartford Housing Authority. We did a proclamation at one of our last council meetings, I think, for Kate. And so this is, I move without objection that we received this communication resigning from West Hartford Housing Authority. And I'll just say that there are so many projects that have Kate's hands and her efforts in them, including 616 New Park, the good win, and so much more. And she was also honored by the Connecticut Council for Philanthropy for her incredible work. She is a one person can make a remarkable difference, and Kate is an example of that. So we accept and thank her for her service, accept her resignation. So any objections? Okay, so there being no objection, the motion is adopted. Special Advisory Committee on Economic and Workforce Recovery. Without objection, I move that we receive the June 15, 2020 minutes from that meeting. Is there any objection? Seeing none, I move that the motion is adopted. Unfinished business, ordinance concerning traffic obstruction in certain intersections. This agenda item was the subject of a public hearing on July 14th, previous to this. And so with that, I will go to Mr. Hart to give us a quick synopsis because it was over an hour ago now. So, Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Hart, Town Manager. Just to summarize quickly from the public hearing we had earlier this evening, the Council adopted an ordinance back in July of 2019 pursuant to state law under which we designate and regulate various intersections in town against blockage. And this type of ordinance is known more commonly as do not block the box. So under the ordinance, the town needs to maintain a list of the approved intersections where we place the appropriate signage and pavement markings. Under the proposed amendment in front of you tonight, it would accomplish two things. Number one, it would add the intersection of New Britain Avenue and Somerset Street as a new location that we would sign and list under the ordinance. And then secondly, we would correct something we added to the ordinance at an earlier point in time, and that is the intersection of Farmington Avenue at 4 North Main Street. And that's a driveway, and technically a driveway cannot be included under the ordinance. So this amendment would accomplish those two things, Mayor. Happy to take any questions council members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Again, this was the subject of a public hearing. And are there any questions for Mr. Hart? All right. I see none on my phone or on the screen. So with that, we will go to roll call, Ms. LeBreau. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion of adoption.
Ms. Blanks?
Yes.
Ms. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Davidoff?
Yes.
Ms. Fay?
Yes.
Mr. Gold?
Yes.
Ms. Kerrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Winograd?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LeBreau. Application on behalf of JJJ New Britain Avenue Associates, LLC, owner of 12 Grove Street, requesting a change of the underlying zone for 12 Grove Street from R6 One Family Resident District to RP Resident Parking District. This agenda item was a public hearing that was withdrawn by the applicant prior to the public hearing, and I'd like to have Corporation Counsel Mr. Dodge explain the legal significance of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the opportunity to clarify the legal effect of the withdrawal. So under our standing rules, because the application was withdrawn after the hearing was set for public hearing, but before the actual beginning of testimony, the applicant would require leave of the council in order to bring forward the exact same application within the next 12 months. If, however, the applicant were to submit an application that was significantly changed or substantially changed, for example, if it was part of a larger special development district, then the application would not require leave of the council to introduce such an application, and we would essentially restart the process over again. I'm also aware that we did receive several petitions from neighboring property owners objecting to this application, and prior to the applicant withdrawing their application, we were in the process of confirming the authenticity of those petitions, and I actually had the pleasure of doing my first 20 title searches since I was a first-year associate because we're a little understaffed in my office right now. We ultimately, if there is a new application, there would need, and there were folks who objected to that, they would need to submit a new petition in order to trigger the 2/3 requirement for council approval. So again, probably more to come on this, and we'll wait and see if we get any kind of a new application from the applicant. I'm happy to answer any questions, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Any questions for Corporation Counsel on this item? I don't see any. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I believe Councilor Blanks.
Sorry, I looked down too quickly. Sorry, Ms. Blanks, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to you, Corporation Counsel Dallas Dodge, since I'm not an attorney, when you say leave of the council, what does that mean exactly? It almost sounds like they have to withdraw the application and then resubmit it.
Right, so the idea is that if the...
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Mr. Dodge.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. The idea, Councilor Blanks, under the standing rules is that we don't want applicants to withdraw an application because perhaps they've sent some opposition in the neighborhood and to then submit the exact same application again at a later date. And so under our standing rules, they're not categorically precluded from doing that, but they would require, but it would require a 2/3 vote of the council for the applicant to reintroduce the same exact application within the next 12 months. Again, it has to be the exact same application. And so if it was substantially different, as I mentioned before, if it was, say, part of a special development district application, that would likely be substantially different and would not require leave of the council to submit that application. They could submit it as of right and proceed accordingly. And we would, restart the typical process that we have for a zoning amendment or for an SDD.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Ms. Blanks?
Thank you. I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything further for Ben? No? Okay. All right, we will go to item number C, 6C, technical amendment to item previously adopted at the May 12th, 2020 virtual special town meeting. Item 5B, an ordinance deauthorizing $1.2 million for projects authorized in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2020-2021, appropriating $2,926,000 for projects in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2020-2021, appropriating $19,013,000 for projects in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2021-2022, and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the town in an amount not to exceed $20,739,000 to finance the appropriations and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. I will move adoption, but first we will go to Mr. Hart for comment.
Matt Hart, Town Manager. Mayor, this is just correcting an item that was adopted at the May 12th meeting. And every year, the council will consider a motion along these lines in which you make adjustments to the capital improvement program at the end of the fiscal year and entering into the next fiscal year. And I would turn to Corporation Counsel, who could speak to the specifics of the technical amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hart. To you, Mr. Dodge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is correcting what we call a Scribner's error. It was essentially in the ordinance that was adopted by the council at the budget adoption meeting, identified fiscal year 2021 to 2022 for the appropriation. And it's fairly clear that what the council intended to adopt was an appropriation for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. So this is simply correcting a Scribner's error. It's correcting an ordinance that was previously adopted by the town. And so it's fairly technical in nature, Madam Mayor, but there's no requirement to go through the whole ordinance process again for this because of the technical nature of it.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Are there any questions from councilors on this item? No, so we need to do a roll call for this, Mr. Dodge, correct?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right, Ms. LeBeau, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Blanks,
Yes.
Ms. Cantor,
Yes.
Mr. Davidoff,
Yes.
Ms. Fay,
Yes.
Mr. Gold,
Yes.
Ms. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Winograd,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LeBeau. New business, a resolution appropriating funds to reopen 2 pools and reinstate seasonal ground maintainers. I move to adopt. Mr. Hart, can you comment?
Matt Hart, Town Manager. Thank you, Mayor. So this is just building on a conversation we had some weeks ago at our June 22nd Social and Community Recovery meeting. And Council will recall, during the budget process, we had a number of concerns regarding the pandemic, how it would impact summer programming, in particular, our aquatics programming. And at that point in time, we decided, or we recommended, management recommended, you approved, a budget that would reduce funding for various aquatic programs for the summer, with the understanding that if we thought we were in a position at some point during the summer where we could safely resume some of that program in a safe manner, we would come back to you with a recommendation to accomplish that. And that's exactly what we're doing here this evening. We are seeking a transfer of $186,000 from the Capital Non-Recurring Expenditure Fund budget, a transfer from that fund to the general fund. Now, what would that money do? The funding would allow for the partial restoration of 2 outdoor pools, as we have discussed, one at Fern Ridge and one at Beechland Park, as well as 4 splash pads for this summer. And Health Fitness, the operator of Cornerstone Aquatic Center, would oversee the management of the pools, and the town is already overseeing the management of the splash pads. And we're working to maintain appropriate physical distancing at the splash pads, and there's cleaning and various maintenance requirements that we need to satisfy at both the splash pads and the pools. In addition to this, we are seeking some funding as part of the $186,000 for to restore some seasonal grounds maintenance service. Recall, we reduced that as well. And due to the increased use in our parks, which we think is absolutely fabulous, we do need some monies to properly maintain them. If you were to open the resolution, you can see the specifics on the second page. So looking at that $186,000, $100,000 of it would go to the contract with Health Fitness, $25,000 for the maintenance of the outdoor pools. Excuse me, $25,000 for temporary payroll, $37,000 for maintenance, and the remaining $24,000 would be earmarked for the temporary payroll for parks maintenance. So seeking your approval on this, Mayor, and Finance Director Peter Privatera is also on call tonight, and both of us could take any questions council members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. They have been open for 2 weeks now. How long have the pools been open so far, Mr. Hart?
Thank you, Mayor. The pools have not been open. The pools will open this coming Monday. The splash pads have been open for approximately 2 weeks.
Okay, and do we know? Thank you, Mr. Hart. And do we know attendance or the the interest in those splash pads? Is that being tracked?
Yeah, the interest, as I understand it, is very positively received, and we're seeing good numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Mr. Sweeney.
Mr. Hart, are we going through you, Madam Mayor? Are we also doing contact tracing for the splash pads, or are we just doing that for the pools?
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Hart?
Excellent question. I'm sorry, I do not know the answer. I will get that and inform the full council. So to that end, we would need to record everyone visiting the splash pad so we can perform that task accordingly.
One, and then through you, Madam Mayor, so is there a limit that we're setting on the splash pad similar to the pool to control that size as well? Through you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Matt Hart, Town Manager. There are occupancy limits for the splash pads. I don't know off the top of my head what those are, but that's why we have staff there. One of the reasons why we have staff there is to enforce the occupancy limits.
The staff is through you, Madam Mayor. Sorry. And the staff is similar to the previous setups where we had like a lifeguard or such in the splash pad.
Mayor, I think your line is muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Hart?
Yes, Matt Hart, Town Manager. The staffing, I think we've got 2 people at each location.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Anything further, Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Blanks?
Quick one follow up to Councilor Sweeney. Mr. Town Manager, is there a sign up for the splash pads? I'm sorry if you said that and I didn't hear it.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Mr. Hart?
Matt Hart, Town Manager. Thank you, Councilor Blanks. No, not for the splash pads. We didn't think that would be workable. But so it's kind of a first come, first served basis. And, you know, if folks are waiting, you know, we'll do our best to encourage people to move on after they've been there a while so that other folks can enjoy it. I have not heard of any problems with excessive wait times.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Ms. Blanks, anything further?
Thanks,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Anybody else? No? Okay, then we will go to a roll call, Ms. LeBreau.
Ms. Blanks,
Yes.
Ms. Cantor,
Yes.
Mr. Davidoff,
Yes.
Ms. Fay,
Yes.
Mr. Gold, Mr. Gold,
Yes.
Ms. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Winograd,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rowan. Again, and thank you to all of town staff for looking at creative ways to serving our public, especially our youth and during hot days. Okay, application filed on behalf of .com Wine and Spirits, Inc., DBA Maximum Beverage, prospective tenant in property located at 316-340 North Main Street within Special Development District Number 7. The application seeks permission to convert approximately 7,705 square feet of unused tenant space on the lower level of the shopping plaza into a new wine, beer, and spirit retail store. Associated exterior facade renovations, including additional signage, parking, and landscape improvements are proposed. Without objection, I move that we set for public hearing on September 8th, 2020 at 7 p.m. and refer to TPZ and DRAC. So if there is objection, please let me know. If not, the motion will be adopted. Any objection? All right, the motion is adopted. Next, appointment of Milagros Acosta to West Hartford Housing Authority for a term ending 12/31/2021. Without objection, I would like to move Milagros' appointment. Any objection? All right, seeing none, the motion is adopted. And a minute. I go to announcements, and I hope it didn't throw me off. Okay. All right, announcements. I actually want to take this minute to, the website is a big deal, and I know, I think Mr. Sweeney actually would probably have said we should have had, horns and trumpets, because it's a heavy lift, and there was a lot of work years ago to make this happen. And Mr. Sweeney, I want to acknowledge your efforts on this as well. Jared Morin, our IT director, Mr. Hart, your commitment, and the start and the stop with the logo. But this is a big deal, and it takes tremendous amount of work and commitment. And I want to thank Erin Brown for her remarkable efforts on this. And we do want feedback, not only from council members, but from the public on your comfort level and what you see, what you don't see, what you find difficult navigating. This is a really important tool, and I think all of us realize how important it is to get information off the internet, especially during these times, during a pandemic when we don't have that face-to-face interaction. It's critical. So with that, I will go to a song for West Hartford, Deadline Approaching. The deadline to write and perform an original song for West Hartford is almost here. Entrants will be eligible for the big grand prize of $500, made possible with a grant from Thomas F. Kilfoyle Bequest, West Hartford Public Library Foundation. Submit your entry through the library's website, and that's West Hartford Library, oneword.org, by July 26th. Your entry will be judged on how well your song evokes the town of West Hartford. Judges will accept both songs with words as well as instrumental songs without words. Your song of West Hartford will be featured on the library's website and will be up for consideration as the official song of the town. Top finalists will be announced on Wednesday, July 29th. Public input will then be requested. After input, the judges will convene and select the grand prize winner to be announced on Wednesday, August 12th. Small Business Forum tomorrow morning, actually, at 9 a.m. Will be with our West Hartford State Delegation in an effort to provide continued support to the business community during these extraordinarily challenging times. The town of West Hartford and West Hartford Chamber of Commerce have organized an informational session with our local delegation, including Senator Slapp, State Representatives Jillian Gilchrist, and Tammy Exum. The webinar will allow our West Hartford delegation an opportunity to present their activities in and out of the Capitol, followed by a Q&A session. If you have any questions you'd like to submit in advance, please send those to, actually, Kristen Gorski, I think, wrote this. It says me, but via email. So Kristen Gorski, we all have her email. Please register small business form registration. There's a link on the announcement form on board docs. Virtual candidate debate for the Democratic primary debate on July 16th. The League of Women Voters of Greater Hartford and West Hartford Community Interactive invite the community to watch primary debate with the two candidates, Sherry Haller and Kate Farrar, who are seeking to represent the Democratic Party in the race for Connecticut 20th Assembly District. The debate will be live on July 16th at 12:30 on Comcast Cable in West Channel 5 or Frontier 6098, and streaming also on YouTube through WeHa's site. Wheels on Wednesday and weekends. Bike West Hartford and West Hartford Leisure Services are offering 2 free recreational bicycling programs in July and August for a variety of distance and cycling levels. No registration is required, and riders can join one or all rides depending on fitness level or experience. Wheels on Wednesdays are suitable for families, while the longer weekend wheels rides are suitable for more experienced cyclists. Each trip will be facilitated by a member of Bike West Hartford, a local nonprofit cycling organization. They are July 15th, 7.9 mile ride, meet at the flagpole at Town Hall parking lot. July 29th, a 5.9 mile ride, meet at Fern Ridge Park Center parking lot. August 5th, ride 9.5 miles, meet at the flagpole at Town Hall parking lot. These all start at 5:30 p.m. And the weekends are start at 9 a.m. on our July 25th, 10-mile reservoir ride. August 5th, 15-mile Discover West Hartford Hidden Connections ride, meet at the Town Hall parking lot flagpole for both of those rides. August 15th, 16-mile Doncaster Road Scenic Ride. That's one of my favorites. Meet in front of Marshall's Home Goods, 333 North Main Street. You get a little piece of, it feels like almost like a little piece of Vermont. Anyway, anybody else have any comments or announcements for the public to be aware of? All right, I don't see any hands. Okay. We will then, if there's nothing further, I'm looking one more time. All right. I will make a motion to adjourn and without objection. Mr. Winograd, you're not objecting, are you? All right. Motion is adopted and we are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night. Be well, be safe. Wear your face mask, face coverings.